Oh, you're taking all those, are you? Excellent. Hey everybody, I'm Darren Han and welcome to Pocket Universe, coming to you from Heroes and Hobbies. On today's show we have Matthew LeDrew, writer-publisher, Justin Foley, games producer, and Susan Kelsey, actor. Come on back right after this. Welcome back, and I'd like to welcome to the show Matthew LeDrew, writer and publisher. Welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you for having me.
Matthew, tell us about first of all, your publishing company.
My publishing company is Engen Books. We're a small press publisher here based in Newfoundland. Our main focus has been genre for the last 15 years, but we've always had big goals. Our goal is not to be Newfoundland Tor, it's to be Newfoundland HarperCollins. So we're now starting to branch out. We've got a wonderful book of poetry, some lit fiction. We've got a new nonfiction division, all that. Our base was definitely in genre because that was the niche that needed to be filled in the Newfoundland market. No one was really doing that. But now we're starting to give ourselves a little elbow room there and go with the big leagues.
Good for you, sir. Where and when did you get started, and how did you come up with the idea?
I got started with the idea when I was writing myself and went looking to get published. And one of the early answers, because my early work was not set in Newfoundland. And if you've never tried to produce an artist as a Newfoundlander when your stuff isn't set in or related to Newfoundland, it's an uphill battle. You know what I mean? Like the people seem to want, or the existing publishers seem to want one thing, and my stuff wasn't that thing. So I went looking for other publishers that locally that did specialize in genre and in stuff like that. Wasn't finding it. So my choices were change what I was doing entirely, or go wider, go to the big tours or the big five down in the States, whatever, where I would be a very small fish in a very big pond. So it occurred to me that I can't be the only one having this. I can't be the only genre writer in the province. So we saw a gap in the market, and I decided to start my own publishing company. And it didn't really take off until we got on other people. There's benchmarks, bringing on Ellen Curtis was obviously a huge step. My business partner, later my wife.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
I didn't know that.
Later on, bringing on Amanda Labonte, who is just a genius, one of the smartest professionals ever, just a brilliant marketing strategist and businesswoman. Bring on Aaron Vance, our editor-in-chief, Matthew Daniels, client relations. So just all these benchmarks where it's for some reason, brilliant people keep wanting to work with me, and I keep getting on lovely shows like this, even though I'm just a dumb man.
No, you're not, sir. Not if you've accomplished all that, you're certainly not. So the name of the company is?
Engen Books.
Engen Books.
And it got its name because of a silly joke from my first book. So in my first book, it's a Black Womb, the first book in the Coral Beach Case Files series. It's there's a evil company behind it all. And the evil company's name is Engen. They're genetically engineering people. So it's Engen, genetic engineering, that kind of thing. When we had to come up with a company name, I hadn't thought of it. So I was like, oh, wouldn't it be funny? Wouldn't it be funny if we named the real company after the evil company? Haha, we're an evil company. It's also a homage back to our first book. I've regretted it ever since because I have to explain that every time.
Well, it's a good story to it.
It is.
And it's something that no one else has.
And apparently, Engen in Norwegian means the meadow. So eventually, which sounds sinister, doesn't it?
Yeah.
The meadow.
The meadow.
But yeah, then maybe I'll just start saying it's the Meadow Books.
Where are you guys located? Are you in St. John's, or are you where's your home base to?
Our home business, we're a home-based business,
so
like everything's done from our home right now. We work with distributors and stuff like that, so we don't have a lot of our books on hand. We don't yet need warehousing or anything like that, thankfully. So because it's a home-based business, we're based out of Chapel Iron because that's where I live.
Oh, okay. Excellent. Now, sir, your titles. I want to get away from the business a little bit and get into you personally with your titles.
Personally with my titles?
Personally with your titles. Tell us about Matthew LeDrew, the writer.
Well, I started out writing a series of kind of Scooby-Doo but R-rated books called the Coral Beach Case Files books, where it's like, what if there was young people solving mysteries, but the mysteries were horrific? It's very strange and very niche, and you have to be a certain type of person to have written it and to have. Like, I'm glad I wrote it when I did, because I wouldn't be able to write it as an adult, as someone who's pushing 40. You know what I mean? It's something you could only write as a 23-year-old. But they're super fun. That branched off into more serious detective series, and some superhero series that I write with my wife Ellen Curtis with the Infinity series, which is more of a realistic take on superheroes, people with powers, stuff like that in a gritty world. But lately I've been branching out into other work. I've been just as Engen's been stretching its wings, so have I. So. Last year, I got an Arts and L grant to write a treasure hunt novel based in Newfoundland that should be coming out next year. That revolves around a real hidden legend that I discovered that the Holy Grail is actually in Newfoundland, and so it's tied deeply into Newfoundland history. And
we're talking the real Holy Grail.
Yeah. Okay. The actual Holy Grail being hidden here.
Here in Newfoundland.
Yeah, and it ties into the confusion around, like, where did John Cabot land? Was it in Newfoundland or was it Nova Scotia? That idea that was circling around about 10 years ago.
Oh, yes, okay, yeah.
And the Grail legend circles around, because there's a lot of Grail legends involving Nova Scotia.
Yes.
But if that was messed up, maybe other stuff was messed up too.
That's right.
So it was that the Grail's actually here.
I love stuff like that.
Yeah. So I knew that would tickle you.
Yeah, I love that.
And I recently just announced and I'm very thankful to Arts and L. Also very thankful to the Canada Council of the Arts. They gave me a grant just recently to write a lit fiction novel about a genre writer struggling to make it in the lit fiction scene in St. John's, Newfoundland.
So how'd you get reference for that?
Yeah, I know. Nothing that I know anything about.
Nothing at all, no.
Yeah, I don't know how I'm going to stretch my imagination to come up with that one.
I have to talk to a few people.
I know. I'm going to have to really buckle down and do my research. But I'm very grateful to that community. So I'm branching out with my own work.
Good for you, sir. Good for you. Good for you. What's the future plans for Matthew LeDrew, the writer, and Engen Books?
Matthew LeDrew, the writer, it's becoming more and more to explore different themes. Like every so often I'm still working on the ongoing series that I started back in the day, but every so often as I get older, something will really tickle me and I'll go, oh, let's go this. And because it's what I do for a living, I have the creative freedom to just go every morning when I sit down to write, I can go, what tickles me today? And then explore in that direction and to just keep doing it and hopefully finding an audience that responds well to it, as I have in the past and hopefully will continue to do. Engen Books, we're just growing every day, growing bigger and bigger, growing every year in revenue and our market share and all that stuff, and just meeting more people, working with more people in the community. You'd be hard-pressed to find an author working in this province that we haven't worked with at this point in some capacity. It's really gratifying, and it's wonderful to see people who agree that, like, the only thing you should judge a Newfoundland author or a Newfoundland creator by is it good? It shouldn't be, oh, is it set in Newfoundland? Is it about this? Is it about that? It's like, no, we shouldn't have limits.
No, it was good. Well, best of luck to you in the future, and best of luck to Engen Books, sir.
Thank you.
How can someone contact you or Engen Books, please?
Engenbooks.com is the best way to do both. So my contact information is on there, as well as Engen Books' contact information. I've run seasonal classes as well over Zoom, so anyone that's out there listening, if they want to attend writing classes that are about, like, structure and beginners writing stuff like that, getting your work to print. I run those, so you can actually reach out to me through there if you're interested.
Excellent.
Yep.
All right, sir. Well, thank you for coming on the show today.
Thank you.
And we'll be right back after this. And welcome back, everyone. I want to welcome to the show Justin Foley, games producer. Welcome to the show, sir.
Hello, thanks for having me back.
Justin, what do we have here today, sir?
What we have here is the game of 20 squares. Yep.
Spell it.
U-R.
Okay.
Yep. So it is the oldest known board game on the planet, at least as far as we know so far. It was played in around 3000 BC, 2500 BC. It's a game from ancient Mesopotamia.
Okay.
And it was lost to time, but then in either the late 1920s or the early 1930s, Sir Leonard Woolley was doing an archaeological dig in the Royal Cemetery at which is in the Middle East, and he discovered 5 of these boards and the associated pieces, which is where it got the name the Royal Game of
Okay.
Thing is that back then nobody knew how to play it. Fast forward to 1970s, a museum curator by the name of Irving Finkel translated a Sumerian tablet dating back to around 577 BC, and that tablet actually had the instructions of how the game is played, and so now the oldest known board game in the world is back to life where people can play it again. And I've started making it and making it available to people to buy.
Okay, so we got this game that was back thousands of years ago.
Yep.
And then another person found, what, a tablet or
So
scrolls of it? Or
we found the game.
he found the game and the instructions.
Yeah, and the instructions came later. So
Okay, yeah.
So somebody else uncovered the instructions and translated them.
So when he translated the instructions, it's like, oh, this must belong to.
Yep, there was a diagram of the board and everything.
Oh,
so,
excellent.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's funny how these things work out. So the game is actually fairly simple.
Okay.
These are the dice. Now, these are the only part of the game that's not really authentic right now, because back in the day, they had tetrahedral dice, or as we like to call them, D4s.
Okay.
But those are very, very hard to make by hand now,
Yep.
so we'll just use square cubes
Okay.
instead. So you'd roll the dice, roll the 1. So the player would put one here. So here's the track. This player wants to go around this way,
Yep.
and this player wants to go around that way.
Okay.
All right? So
So-
the object of the game is
Yep.
to get all 7 of your pieces off the board.
Off the board.
Yep.
Okay.
Now these 4 spaces here with the rosettes, those are roll again spaces. And this one here, where I've got the star put, that's a safe space. So this lane here is the only place where both sets of pieces will interact, and you can knock each other off the board, having to start again from the beginning,
Okay.
unless you're on this space. If you're on that space, you can't get knocked off the board.
So does the game start like the way you've got it laid out here now? Or does the board start with pieces on the board?
Nope. So it starts pretty well the way that we've got it laid out there now. So what you could do is you could roll the dice.
Okay.
Yep. And you've rolled a 2, so you could put a piece there.
A piece right here.
Yep, exactly. And I rolled a 4. Now I landed on this one, so I get to roll again.
So you always start from this corner.
Yeah, we start in this
Okay.
corner and you loop around.
Gotcha.
Now I rolled a 1, so I'll go over there.
And if always to go again.
Yeah. And you rolled a 3. So what you could do is you could move this piece 3 spaces and knock me off the board, or you could take another piece and you could put it on the 3rd space.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So
That's pretty cool.
It is pretty cool. And it's, the instructions are fairly simple.
Yep.
And it's one of those games that it's so simple, but it's really fun. You play a game and it feels like it's only lasting about 20 minutes, but
Yep.
then it's like you're 2 hours into the game because of back and forth, being knocked off the board, having to start again. But you're so into it.
It's kind of complicated, not complicated, but it's like say it's going to take a lot of time to play.
It can. Sometimes
Yep.
it does go really fast, but yeah, there are times where it'll take a little bit longer, but it's you don't even notice the time going. You get really wrapped up in it.
Yeah. So you're going to produce these games,
Yep.
and
so,
you're going to sell them through your company, Justin Foley Entertainment.
Yes, that's right. So thanks to COVID pandemic and stuff like that, the
Yeah.
main function of Justin Foley Entertainment doing birthday parties and special events hasn't really been able to happen a whole lot.
Right.
So I've branched out into more at-home kind of things. So these board games are kind of the start of it.
Right.
So each of these board games we hand make out of wood. So
Okay.
and we make the pieces. Sometimes I make them out of clay like these ones. Sometimes I make them out of wood as well.
So these are made of the what, sorry?
These are made out of clay,
Clay, okay.
but often I'll also make the pieces out of wood.
Right.
And sometimes we even get the pieces out of leather. But everything to do with this is handcrafted, and it's also fully customizable. So this is the nice decorative board that I've kind of brought
Okay.
to make it more decorative. I've also done pirate-themed ones that are, done in a darker wash, and they've got skull and crossbones here instead
Oh, that's
of
neat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you can customize it to just about anything that you want as well. Yeah. So.
So where do you get all the supplies to for making the stuff?
Well, just various craft stores. Some of it I
Okay.
order online. I have a wholesaler that I reach out to who
Okay.
I'm able to get a lot of my components for.
That's neat.
Yeah.
So if anybody wanted to get one of the games, do you sell them locally, or is it just online, or how are you doing
I
it?
sell them. I sell them locally.
Yep.
People so far are just coming to me through my Facebook page.
Right.
My friends John and Kevin, who introduced me to the game to begin with, they're helping out with the construction as well.
Yeah.
And they reach out to us, and we can deliver it. We can ship it. We're only just getting started with this. This is
Right.
kind of like a prototype board.
Yeah.
But yeah, we are getting a lot of interest already.
I think you got something there, man. That's very
Well, thank you.
interesting, and I think it's going to like you said, that was like. It takes you can spend a lot of time at it, not knowing that you spend a lot of time playing it.
Yeah, well, this is it, and people love the history about it too. Board game aficionados, they would like to have it simply because it is the oldest board game known
right.
to man right
Yeah.
now. So.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So if someone wanted to contact you about getting a set game, how did they contact you?
They could go to our website, justinfoleentertainment.com, and
Yep.
go to our contact page, and all my contact information is there. They can send us an email. They'll probably be able to order it. I'm working on an online store kind of thing for
Nice.
for
Yep.
that,
Yep.
but that doesn't exist yet. But it will soon.
Yep.
And yeah, people just reach out to us there from my website, and we can fill an order for you.
Excellent. Well, thanks for coming on the show today, telling us all about the game of the game of I was close.
Yeah.
And we'll be right back after this. Welcome back, and I'd like to welcome to the show Susan Kelsey, actor and multidiscipline performer. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Susan, tell us what it's like being an actor in Newfoundland. How did you get started? What shows have you been on?
Well, I started as a stage actor, so when I was a small child, and I've been acting for at least 2 decades, and then I started film acting when I was 16, so I was
Okay.
in a commercial. That was my first thing, an anti-bullying commercial. I actually ended up running for 5 years,
Oh,
so
wow.
it followed me for a long time.
Yeah.
And then I made my first short when I was 17, and that was in the Women's Film Festival. And
Just tell everybody what a short is in case anybody doesn't know.
a short is a short film, so
Okay.
usually under a half hour
Okay.
would designate a short, as opposed to a feature, which would be full length.
Right.
And yeah, so so since then I've kind of been working in film sporadically over the past 15 years, I guess, and I became an actor member a couple years ago, so since I became part of the union, I've been working a lot more frequently in
Right.
film as an actor.
What kind of roles have you done over the years? And are you allowed to say what shows you've been on?
Yes, so I've been on a bunch of different shows, Hudson and Rex, Son of a Critch, Astrid and Lily Save the World, Departure, Republic of Doyle, Maroney, more. There's ones I'm forgetting.
That's okay.
That's okay. Yeah, it's been a bunch of different, a lot of different TV shows over the years. But yeah. So on Rex, that's probably been one of the, or Hudson and Rex, I should say, that's one of the shows. So I'm what is considered a continuity performer.
Okay.
Which just means that you're a person that regularly exists in the universe of Hudson and Rex. So on that show, I'm a forensic, so you'll see me with my blue gloves and my jacket with forensics on it, you know, dusting for fingerprints or things like that. So I'm in multiple seasons of that show in that role. And yeah, but I've done all different sorts of things. Actually, on Maroney, I played a person who was getting screeched in.
Oh, yes.
So for that, I was like, oh, I'm really using my acting skills pretending to be a mainlander instead of a Newfoundlander.
That's
like
right.
I am. Yeah, so that was really fun because, of course, as a Newfoundlander, I've never been screeched in.
Oh, that's right. Yes, we don't.
Because we're all ready. We
That's
don't
right.
need it. So yeah, it was really fun to say everything and do all that because yeah, it's just something that I've seen so many times, and put other people through, but I've never done myself. Yeah.
That's great. So go back to the Hudson and Rex. What was the name of what? So what is it you're calling again? A continuity?
Continuity.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you were forensic on that. So, and you mentioned like taking fingerprints and new stuff like that. How do you know how to do that as an actor? Do they have someone like, this is what you're going to do, this is how it's going to be done? Or do you just
there's not like
or do you do it yourself?
There's not really a specific person. Like we get guidance usually from the assistant directors. So
Okay.
the first or the third assistant director is usually directing what's happening in the background. Sometimes the director as well. But yeah, they'll provide us with guidance of what exactly they want us to do, but I haven't had an actual forensic come in and be like, "This is how you,
This is how you do.
this is how you do the fingerprints," or you know, whatever you might are taking. Like one time, I was mixing up like that kind of plaster stuff that you take for
yes,
like a
yes.
footprint.
Yeah.
So that was fun, and yeah, you never know what you might be doing, but we always have those kits. And they're always full of actual forensic equipment. It's not there. So when they look heavy, they are heavy.
They are heavy. It's not just like an empty box.
Yeah,
you got some real equipment.
I have told. I was talking to one of the props people, and I'm like, I could just act like it was heavy. That's fine. I have those acting skills, and they're like, no, we need you to have this. All this stuff because, of course, sometimes we open the kits and have to take some stuff out of it. But as when you're lugging it around all day long, it gets heavy.
That's amazing. That's cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
Now, anybody that wanted to get into the acting business in Newfoundland, what would you suggest they do? How would they start out?
I think here it's pretty accessible. I think networking is a huge thing that you can be doing. So, for example, I did a program at MUN that has changed names since I did it, but at the time it was called the Diploma in Performance and Communications Media, and so many people who currently work in television locally here have gone through that program. So I found that program was a great way to meet people and connect. I think joining like local casting, like there's Facebook groups, there's a website called Casting by Maggie, and of course taking acting lessons. Like I've taken like acting at the university level in that program I just mentioned, but I've also done a bunch of different acting classes throughout the year, so actually practicing the craft. And I think, I mean, stage acting and film acting are quite different, but they both can help with the other. I find film acting, it's much more subtle and it's a lot more in your body, whereas stage acting is just more theatrical, and it's really so much about expressing everything so that even the person in the back row can see what's happening. Right. Whereas film, the camera can push in. You can get closer. Whereas on a stage, the audience is where they are. So
nice.
Yeah.
Multidiscipline performer. What does that mean? And what do you do with that?
Yeah, it just means that I perform in a variety of disciplines. So I'm an actor. I would say that's probably my first performing love, but I'm also a storyteller and a dancer and sometimes music even. So I do lots of different, I've done improv and comedy as well at times, but yeah, primarily acting I would say is my first love in terms of performance, but I do a variety of different types of performing.
That's awesome. Well, thank you for coming on the show today and telling us what it's like to be an actor in Newfoundland.
You're welcome.
And we'll be right back after this. If you have questions or comments about Pocket Universe, you can email us at darren.pocketuniverse@gmail.com. Your turn. Hey guys, thanks for watching today. See you next time.
Now I've done various cards and magic cards, but PSA, which is another grading slabbing company, they're very particular on it. So unlike comic books, it can be detectable because you can flatten out the comic books a little or the cards a little too much. Now if they're only for a player's use, no problem, I can help them with that. But if it's for investment purposes, we can have problems with that.
Oh wow!
So I have done magic cards and stuff like that, but it's so tedious, and so I usually stick to comic books, what I love, which is what I grew up with. So
And where did you come up with the idea for polar pressing?
Well, I realized how much money people were spending on sending their books away, and I just wanted to do something for Newfoundland because I was getting out of the hobby of collecting, so I wanted to be able to do something, offer it back, and I knew nobody in the province was doing it, and I only cater to Newfoundland and Labrador. I've been asked for all over the place.
If you have a comment about this program